What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep 'em flowing. Where do you come from? And where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep 'em flowing.
Oh, okay. It's not picking up your mic. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Super PlayStation Brothers podcast. We are here weekly-ish, if schedule's allowing, to bring you all of the PlayStation news. My name's Doragon. I am your co-host for this amazing podcast. And the guy over there, I never quite know which way to point. That's Rudigs. He is your main host for this podcast. He brings us all the titles, all of the news, all of the things that we're going to be talking about in a day, and then I add what I like to think is wisdom to it, but it's probably just rambling nonsense. But you guys turn up anyway, and we all have a good time with you in chat. We have a bit of back and forth, and then we're good to go. And hopefully, Rudigs's mic is now being picked up. So good morning, my friend. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm back on. Thank you for covering that intro as it was on default for some reason. And I'd love to see that. But we're back up and running. Welcome to Super PlayStation Bros. Welcome in, everybody. We're coming live on Family Day, a holiday here in Canada. So make sure to shout out to your family. Make sure everyone's doing all right. So before all of the news, we like to catch up on what we've been playing this week. And Dorgon, have you had time to turn on the station and get in any gaming this week?
I haven't had a huge amount of time, but I have got some game time in. So I've played a little bit of Destiny 2. We're back on the Dreadnought in Destiny 2 now, which is a huge throwback to Destiny 1 and Taken King era, which myself and so many other players of the game absolutely adore. So very much enjoying being back there and doing all of the activities around the Dreadnought. I've also played some Beat Saber, some Les Mills body combat on the VR just to keep the fitness levels up. You can't always get to a gym, but half an hour to 40 minutes of one of those and you're properly feeling the burn. They've got you squatting, they've got you ducking and dodging, they've got you punching and slicing. So I've been enjoying the time that I've managed to get on it. It's not been huge, but yeah, it's been nice. But I was very jealous to learn that yourselves in America have some form of public holiday today, whereas here in the UK it is Monday, which means work day.
That's a little unfortunate. And I'm learning, yeah, it's President's Day in America as well. So holidays all around on the West.
It's not here in Europe, apparently. We're just harder workers than you guys. We know what matters. How have you been, my man? Have you managed to get away from tearing up floors, putting down floors, breaking down walls and building them and such? And have you managed to get any time on the station itself?
So I have been busy, and not to mention we got hit with unprecedented amounts of snow. So it's just been digging out with the shovel, trying to get my car moving, which is almost impossible right now. So we're waiting for actual plows to come in and move stuff, digging out my tenant. So a lot going on, keeping busy. But I have been able to get into some Baldur's Gate 3, really on the D&D train right now. learning all the ins and outs of the Warlock and playing it like, I guess, with a greater understanding now of how the rules, how the game works, how its individual boards, and just enjoying the exploration going around and the dialogue and the choices. So a lot of fun there, but that's been the only thing I've been locked into, and really waiting to get through that before I turn on anything else. And I didn't get let into Elden Ring NighReign trial, which I was really hoping for, but I watched so much of it that I feel like I was there. So we'll get into that because I know a lot about it, but we got tons to talk about today, so let's jump into it because we had a state of play. So I want to get into that, see Dorgon's reactions, see my reactions, and then digging out your tenant. How many times have I told you you can't bury them in the backyard?
I'm not gonna lie, when you mentioned digging out your tenant, I had this sort of like horror movie vision of just this hand sticking out the ground and you just digging them out.
Listen, as
I'm
as
so
funny
glad
as that
somebody
is,
else thought the same.
zombies don't pay rent. I don't know how that would work, but yes.
There's nothing to say they don't. I'm quite sure they can hold down a job. It's not like a vampire. They don't burst into flame during the day. They could go to the office, like input some data, and then come home. Like the rest of the zombies doing that anyway. Like they're not exactly going to look out of place, are they?
No, see, vampires can hold down a job. They can work at night. Night shifts.
They could do the
They
night
can work
shift,
security.
except not here in summer because it's still light and sunny till about 11 p.m. and the night shift starts at about 8. So they're a bit scuppered over here.
Well, that is a digression, but funny jokes. Maker says, I know quite a few people who don't have the day off, but I believe government workers have it off. Oh, nice. So do you have it off? Hope you do, man. Everyone deserves a day off. Put zombies in Amazon warehouses. Oh, well, robots may be replacing them before zombies. So we'll see. Well, we are in the PlayStation, the PSP now, and I'm throwing on some State of Play so we can talk about it. Yes, we're in our small windows. So the State of Play opened up with Monster Hunter. And I know that you're a fan of Monster Hunter, but at this point I was hoping for Wolverine claws to slash through the screen and be like, PlayStation is here. Now, Monster Hunter, we've seen arguably the most amount of coverage. We've seen multiple betas, we've seen multiple previews, we've seen gameplay, like 11-minute in-dive deep into gameplay and see everything that's happening. But it's just another one of those. How did you feel about it? Because for me, it was more of the same. Was there anything new
It's
for
one
you
of
here
those
as a Monster Hunter?
There were a couple of things. Just a couple of monsters and the way that they seem to interact with the world, what they do differently to previous times. A couple of returning monsters that always gave a bit of a challenge. But this is always how Capcom have done Monster Hunter. You've always got a load of trailers, you've always got a load of detail, and it's out in a week, essentially. It's out Friday next week on the 28th of February. So it makes sense to have a launch trailer at the start of this State of Play. Like, bring people into it slowly, give them something that we know is a known quantity that we've all had a little bit of hands-on time with now because there's been 3 betas total. There's lots of coverage out there on Monster Hunter, so people know what they're getting into. You don't want to throw Wolverine up there immediately because, like with any live event, people aren't going to be able to tune in immediately from the very start. You're going to have people coming in after the fact. So a nice slow burn start, not a problem for me. Give us a launch trailer. It's coming out next week. Perfect start to the showcase. Like, you don't want to go too hard, too fast.
Well, there you go. And I will say, as I'm watching it now, they did announce DLC that was coming up later on in June, I believe, with the Missouri character. This game has a lot of hype behind it, and obviously they want to get behind it and show it off as much as possible and get it on top of mind. Next, we throw and we see some Sega happening, though. And I'll have to say, I have never played a Shinobi game. I know that there's a lot of history in Shinobi, but there really hasn't been new iterations of the IP, which I think is a missed opportunity. So seeing this here has got me pumped for it. I definitely want to visit this IP, knowing the history and what it's done for gaming.
I actually really like the look of this. When it first came on, my partner, we were meant to be getting ready to go to bed when this showcase started, and both of us were just trapped watching it. She really liked the look of this particular game. I like the look of it because it's got that whole samurai shinobi side to things with the Metroidvania-esque that I've really come to love over the last few years. So this looks really good. The art style's beautiful. The concept is great. The gameplay looks really smooth. If this comes in at a decent price point as well, that $20 to $30 mark, depending on the size of the game, I think it could do a lot of good for the developer and for Sega as a publishing company.
Well, we can pre-order it now, so if I was great at my job here, I would know the exact price, but currently I do not. Next we have
you're the one who created this podcast and what have you. There's no reason you should be any good at it.
Yeah. We have Sonic Racers. Okay. Here's the one thing I see with Sonic Racers. It's like, why does Sonic need a car? Wouldn't the car slow Sonic down? Same with Shadow. That's just
they're trying to be competitive. It's a sporting event. It's not a case of they've got to go fast to save the world or anything. It's a sporting event so that they all level the playing field with a car. I think my biggest problem with this one, though, aside from your questions, is why is the trailer so awful? Why is there so much artifacting and pixelation? Why does it keep dropping in quality? It doesn't matter where you watch it, whether it's in the full state of play replay or the actual upload. There is so many graphical glitches within the trailer. It doesn't inspire confidence in me for the final release.
Well, I hope Sega can pull this together then. I wasn't aware of the graphical glitches, but obviously those are not good words to hear. So, especially with a racing game, you need to maintain those FPSs. But hey, they're still testing it right here. So you can sign up for the test on the 21st and be a part of that. So it's probably still a work in progress. And I hope they are able to maintain it later on. So
I hope it's an encoding issue for the trailer itself and nothing to do with the actual game. But like I say, we'll find out on the 21st. Like, people will actually get their hands on it, and then we'll know if that's an in-game issue as well as a trailer issue.
Absolutely. We have the next game, which surprised me a little bit with the opening. I was like, what is happening here? But it is the classic childhood cartoon that I remember on Saturday mornings, the Digimon. Digimon, digital monsters.
Digital monsters, Digimon are the champions.
So they're coming onto the scene with a brand new video game. Obviously, it caught the attention of a lot of people. It's open world, it's action adventure, it's RPGs. So I think it's got a lot of good things going for it with a strong IP and that Pokemon-esque feel. Even though I believe Digimon came out before Pokemon. I can't be super specific on that, but I had heard that somewhere.
Possible over here, because at the time that these things were coming out, the UK got stuff from the East and the West much later than you guys got them. And I think for us, they sort of launched around the same time. They were complete compatriots in our eyes then. So Series 1 was showing at the same time on ITV, one after the other as well. All of the games came out at the same time. It was basically Digimon and Pokemon were your monster hunting type games. Digimon always appealed a little bit more to me, and I think it's because we had an actual dinosaur-looking thing at the front of it, which as a kid was amazing. My big concern is we've not seen what this game is. The last Digimon game to come out was a digital comic type thing, interactive comic. There wasn't actually any action adventure Digimon gameplay that people know and love, and I want this to be an action adventure Digimon game. If it's not, it could well be the end of the IP, because the last one did not sell well, and when it did, it felt like it was sold under false pretenses, and people were very annoyed with it. So we'll see.
Well, coming up next on the slate is a game we have been teased about, looking forward to. They've pumped up behind the scenes, and that is Lost Soul Aside. It is the newest big hit from the China Hero Project, and it looks like Sony has added a little extra touch and finesse to it because it looks fantastic. The graphics are there. There's theatrical moments, huge bosses, big scenes of just epic proportion. Traversal looks amazing. Combat looks amazing. This is a game that is made for me, right up my alley. Day one, if it didn't have the worst release date, actually I would say it's the second worst release date of the year. Because the first worst release date would be GTA 6 the same day, and the second one would be releasing on the same day as NighReign, which they decided to do. So I get it. You release when you release, and you don't worry about other games. But because they're two very different ones, I may have to get into them both. But I don't get the release date thing. But otherwise, amazing. I'm looking forward to this one. Top of my list.
It's a great looking game. Like you said, the traversal and combat looks insanely good, like really well honed, really fluid and varied. Because that's the thing in traversal in a lot of games, you don't get that variation in what you're doing. You're climbing or you're running or you're on horseback or something. So to have the sort of variation we've got with Lost Soul Aside looks fantastic. Combat is high paced. It looks very Devil May Cry hack and slash type action, which I am here for. I love that type of action game. And I don't give an absolute flying frell about Elden Ring, and there are many people the same as me. They don't care about NighReign. Lost Soul Aside speaks to us. It's going to do absolutely fine. May 30th is a good release day. It means I'm not missing out on releases in that sort of period of the year. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't know whether it's going to be day one. It might be a day 15, 20 after another payday. But yeah, I definitely like the look of it.
There we go. The Elden Ring's a whole co-op thing. It could be fun.
It's not for me.
Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza is coming February 21st, and then we got Dave the Diver, Ichiban's Holiday, DLC coming in April. Splitgate. Have you ever played Splitgate? I never got into the...
I have played Splitgate. I love Splitgate. I've got hundreds of hours in Splitgate across multiple different platforms. Basically, take the idea of Halo, smash it together with the idea of Portal, and you've got Halo with portals. It's a great game. It's still free to play. It's a complete experience now. So you can download the first one and have a play of that before the second one comes along. But I'm very much looking forward to this, especially that new 3-team mode. That's interesting. Like 3 teams of 6 or 8 versus one another definitely has my interest peaked. I would highly recommend Splitgate to everyone.
Awesome. Then we got WWE, which I thought did something a little bit different. They have the game obviously available on both PlayStation 4 and 5, but the island, which is an area of like a social hub, is only available on the PlayStation 5. So I thought that's an interesting way to split up the games. They're still allowing the PS4, I guess, audience to enter into the multiplayer mode, but they're actually adding a whole new layer onto the PS5 and the next generation models. So pretty cool to see, and a little bonus if you're on next gen there. I'm not a big wrestling guy. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities to the guy, me on the cover. We both got awesome hair. He's a little bit smaller than me on the arms, but, you know, he tries.
Oh, obviously. Yeah. I fell off the WWE games way back. This social hub, it just reminds me of what EA and 2K have been doing in their sports games for years. The NBA 2K games have had a social hub like this. I believe WWE is now 2K as well, so it's just taking what they do in their other sports games and putting it in this one. I like the fact that it reminds me very much of PlayStation Home. That is the one thing that I really like about that social hub. It gives me PlayStation Home vibes. I miss PlayStation Home. I think it's kind of cool in that regard, but I don't think it's going to be a big thing in the overall game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I like the social hub. It looked like a lot of customization and custom fights there. But hey, I'm just glad that they're rewarding you for being on the next gen instead of constantly releasing on both sides.
Look, let's not get into that argument again. The internet didn't like you last time.
Borderlands 4 is coming onto the scene. More Borderlands. I actually thought the enemy models looked a lot nicer. I thought it was a lot more polished. I think there's a lot of hype behind this game that they're creating. And there is a big community behind Borderlands. I know the movie didn't do also too well. I didn't personally see it. And I played a little bit of Borderlands on Stadia, and it was kind of wacky. Like, I would shoot this gun, but it would shoot other guns, and then the guns would explode. It was just like some sort of strange, wacky Destiny to me. But it has its audience, and I'm sure it wish it all the best. Wish it all the best.
I've got a lot of time in Borderlands. Borderlands 1 and 2 I've completed on co-op in both a 2-player sofa co-op and a online co-op as well, with the 2-player sofa co-op going on at the same time. So yeah, we're in a situation where Borderlands 4 is coming. For me, I feel like the series has sort of run its course. Unless they do something drastically new with this one, I'm not seeing how it's going to enamor itself to me. But there were a few things in there that looked really good. The traversal looked better with your grappling hook type thing, and the fact that you can swim now as well. So those are great bonuses. It's just, it looks like more Borderlands, and I feel like I'm Borderlands out a little bit.
Here's the issue. I'm just gonna say this one little bit. The rule of the trilogy. Listen, end it on the trilogy. I don't know why you got to go to 4 and stuff. We had a written rule before that 3 games, 3 movies, that was enough to tell your story. You're doing it in 4? Okay, that's too much. All right, think of something new. Get those brain juices flowing. Create a new IP at this point. That's my rant.
I've got no problem if they're telling either really good stories or really pushing gameplay boundaries. I think the reason I'm Borderlands out is that through Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and Tiny Tina's Wonderland, not a lot evolved. The stories weren't huge or impactful. They were just there to push the gameplay along, and it feels like it's been done to death in the series by now. But hopefully 4 changes things up. We've got a big state of play coming up on just Borderlands 4 in the future, so that'll be great. We'll talk more about it at that point.
Well, next up on their showcase was Split Fiction. Split Fiction, which is coming March 6th, 2025. So this game, when I look at it, I feel like this, again, I'm going to have a bad take on this one, but it's the game for ADHD. All right, it's like, can you not stick to one gameplay mechanic throughout the entire thing? Do you need to constantly be changing every single level to engage the gamer? Like, I feel like it's the TikTokification of games when I see how this works, how the mechanics of this is. I just feel like have one game mechanic that works really well and have it all throughout the thing. Don't keep switching. But that's Split Fiction. That's the whole niche that you gotta set yourself apart in. I just think it's the TikTokification of games.
I agree with you. It's a horrible take. The reason things keep switching up is generally narratively driven. Obviously, they want to put as many gameplay variety options in the game as possible. A lot of the time, you're going to be playing this sofa co-op, so you're going to be playing it with your significant other or a friend who comes round for a period of time, whatever the case may be. So they want to make it as engaging as possible and make each session that you jump into nice and fresh. It Takes Two, their previous game, was incredible. The narrative drove that gameplay change every single time. And it was the journey through the world that made these gameplay changes happen. And I imagine it's going to be exactly the same scenario in Split Fiction. I've already got this ordered. I am getting this day one. My partner and I are going to be playing through it and loving every second, just like we did with It Takes Two. I cannot wait for this game. I adored their last outing. I've adored everything they've done prior to that with, I think it was A Way Out that they did prior to that one as well. They're an incredible development studio. I love that they're doing split screen co-op options because not many people are out there. You have to buy 2 consoles and 2 versions of the game to be able to do it most of the time. So this speaks to me massively, and I am very much looking forward to it, to the point, like I say, I've already put a pre-order in and paid for it. I'm hyped for this.
And there we go. Dorgon likes TikTok.
I mean, I don't properly understand TikTok, but I've got nothing against it. I'm not the US. I don't dislike it because it's from somewhere not there.
Next, we have a narrative-driven game, the Supermassive Directive 8020. This game is not specifically my genre because, one, it's scary and spooky, and I don't play games to be scared, all right? I got enough of that. If I want to be scared, I just turn on the news, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, touche, yeah.
Yeah. I don't need a game to freak me out. I like games to be relaxing, fun. I'm always on top winning. So this is just like, I feel like horrors, like you get attached to characters and then they die and then you're like, oh crap, and then they pull your heartstrings and then they scare. I'm not down for that emotional roller coaster. But there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things about the game and the genre here.
Yeah, the genre's good. At this moment in time, these guys seem to be the only choose your own adventure type creators going on. We used to have Quantic Dream doing it on a semi-regular basis, but then they sort of stopped after Detroit Become Human. We haven't heard anything from them since, and there's uproar at that studio anyway because of the treatment of the staff and what have you. But yeah, outside of Supermassive Games, like not many people are doing this choose your own adventure type style. So I'm glad that they're doing something about it. I'm glad that they are here with this game, but it's not for me. I didn't like anything after Until Dawn. It's felt like the quality went off a cliff, and they've slowly been increasing, but they're not back to that starting point for me yet. It doesn't speak to me personally, but I know there's a lot of people that this does speak to, and I am glad that they are going to get something that whets their appetites and hopefully gives them a nice new scare around spooky season in October.
Well, continuing with the spookiness, they had Five Nights at Freddy's, The Secret of the Mimic, and that is a first-person perspective spooky game. I was kind of hoping that it would be on PSVR 2. It may have been, but definitely one for that genre. I know a lot of people are behind Five Nights at Freddy's. I've never played one of them, but I hope it does well for the devs.
Similar to what the last one, it doesn't speak to me. It's not my sort of genre, not my sort of style. I'm not particularly game for it, but again, there's a lot of people who love Five Nights at Freddy's, and if people are going to keep buying them, they're going to keep making them, and that's why we're in this particular position. So hopefully it's one that suits them. It sounds better from a narrative direction than what they've done before, so who knows? It might be one that actually ends up speaking to me.
Midnight Walk is a engaging art style with a new concept that it comes both out on flat screen and VR2 at the exact same time. So very cool that they're doing that, and obviously you can tell that they put a lot of heart into the graphics here. The story is going to be engaging, and obviously the world is immersive enough to put from flat screen to first person. So I think there's going to be a lot here, and this may be a contender for very high review scores.
I think you're on something with that. I think this is going to go down really well. Claymation is such a unique art style. For those of us who grew up with the likes of Morph and Wallace and Gromit, it speaks to us on a level that we can't rightfully explain. The fact that this is a VR2 title and is quite prominent and exclusive at this moment in time is great. I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be an excellent experience. I think I'm going to crap myself in VR playing this game, but I am looking forward to it.
Wallace and Gromit. Oh, wow. What a throwback.
Hey, there was a new one at Christmas. Like, keep up, man.
New one at Christmas. I just remember watching them as a kid. This one
They're
actually
an institution in Britain.
This one caught my attention. It's a fun little octopus, and he's going on an adventure. It wouldn't be one I would like purchase on day one, but if it was on PS Plus, I would definitely have fun with this little platforming adventure because the character just seems very well designed, and the story seems, you know, heartwarming and cute. He's stopping people from, you know, cooking and making octopuses, which to me connects. I like it. Darwin's Paradox.
Yeah, it gives me Octodad vibes. It gives me Lemmings vibes. It, like this combination of all these different types of escape games, puzzle games, platform games, those sort of things. So I think this will be great. I hope it kind of hits PlayStation Plus day one to give it a bit of oomph and a bit of talk around it. But I like the look of it. And similar to you, I don't think it's a day one, but I do think it'll be a pickup down the line.
Then we have Warriors Abyss, which looks like a Dynasty Warriors, right on the tip of my tongue. Dynasty Warriors with a new perspective, with a new art style. So a lot of cool things to like about that if you're into that genre.
I think Dynasty Warriors Combat lends itself so well to the roguelike genre. I'm kind of surprised this hasn't happened previously, but with the huge success of mainstream roguelikes that we've had in the last sort of 5-10 years, this makes so much sense to me. And it's about £25 here in the UK, available immediately during that showcase. Fully up for it. Definitely there.
And then we have Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny. The remastered PS2 classic is launching on May 23rd, and then that made way for Onimusha Way of the Sword, which will be releasing in 2026. So literally, they did the exact same thing with Ninja Gaiden as they did with Onimusha. It seems incredibly similar, except they didn't give the Onimusha 2 the same Unreal 5 remastered treatment, but you get to play it in all its classic glory. So I think there's a lot to be said there, because when I played the when I watched Unreal Engine 5 version of Ninja Gaiden 2 and I played the one that I had available on my PS Plus, I mean, it wasn't like too much of a difference, to be honest. When you like gameplay, it's there. And that's what you play for, is the gameplay. When it comes to the graphics, it's a nice addition, but it's more like icing on the cake. The cake's the important part.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. There are certain things. I've been playing the Unreal 5 engine remake. It's a very nice upgrade. It makes the game look like you remember it, but it is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and it does have all of the Unreal Engine 5 issues. Onimusha, I think they've gone the right route with doing a remaster, bringing it onto the classics catalog, sort of thing that we can play in that regard, giving it like a fresh coat of paint so it doesn't look quite as bad on modern screens. The new one kind of disappointed me a bit with the trailer that they did. I don't like this Marvelification of all of these different what's the word I'm looking for here? Like the way that they interact and talk, and they're dead serious and then suddenly tell a joke. I don't like that all the time. So for me, that was a bit of a problem. But other than that, they do look like good games. You're going to have to take the reins a bit, mate. I've got a call to take. Bear with.
Awesome. No worries. Onimusha, not a series that I'm super familiar with, but I have to appreciate the action combat. It's definitely one I'm going to be jumping into the series. with this release, because I think it looks pretty damn cool, and what a way to get into when they're bringing back. Plus, there's this comedy undertone. Now, the parries seem a little bit bright. Gonna have to turn down my HDR for that one. But other than that, like it's right up my avenue with these big, huge bosses, with this action adventure. So a lot of things to like there from that title. Moving along, because there is a lot happening in this state of play. A lot of great games, I will say. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Wilson? And Maker says Omnimushu Remake was announced back at the Game Awards, I believe. And Omnimushu 2 Remastered was announced a few weeks back. Oh, so there you go. They're not brand new, but to be honest, I can't remember from the Game Awards, because I think if you remember when we watched the Game Awards, we were a little bit inebriated. So what's going on, Wilson? What's going on, Callie? Sad to see remasters we don't want, and Bloodborne is just sitting there. I know. How like Sony must know that Bloodborne like remaster is needed and wanted, and just ignores the fact. I think one of the biggest articles that I read on it said they were kind of waiting for the next console. They wanted to be a bigger jump from PS4 to PS5, so hopefully we will see it when the PS6 releases. I say year 2 of PS6, or maybe even launch title of PS6, because they know it's wanted. I want it. And then we got Rouster. Hey, we should play some Orcs Must Die. You know Wilson's into the Orcs Must Die, although I think he set himself a 2-week mission to beat Wulong last time we saw. So that's definitely going to be a challenge. But Metal Gear Solid, one from my childhood, I definitely remember playing this. I believe I had broken my ankle, and I just sat and played this game for like weeks on end. Really cool, really immersive experience. I remember the flower bush mode where there was all these white flowers everywhere, and the boss was all in white and would just pop up, and you'd have like a split second to be able to get them. Oh, just a masterful, beautiful game. Well done. Can't wait to get into the remake of that one. Or is it a remaster? I think it's a remake. You never know with these guys anymore. Coming up next, Hell Is Us with the drone. Again, coming up on an action-adventure RPG third person, which is 100% my genre. A little bit of a horror overtone, which is going to give it that suspensefulness, that thriller aspect. But hey, cool character models. Gotta love the poncho. We loved it in Star Wars, so the poncho's coming back for our adventurer here. And curly hair too, can't hate on that. So shout out to Hell Is Us. I think they're pumping up a lot of hype around it. We've got the pre-orders around it, and coming out later this year. So you can pre-order, wishlist, all that now. And again, another one top of my list. So a lot of good things to be said about this state of play, I think. And as Maker's saying, some of these games announced before, but sometimes they need to be, you know, drilled into the gamer's head time and time again. Just like Monster Hunter, you got to drill it in time and time again before they they pay attention. So it's gonna get people to go in, log in their PlayStation if they're on that PlayStation hype train, and throw in the pre-order. Hopefully. I'd like to see how well State of Play does in translation for like wish orders and playlists and things like that, and how successful it does with that. But then this was a huge announcement. The Lies of P DLC, which I'm reading articles about, sounds like more of a part 2. In terms of the scope, it's going to be massive. This game is absolutely a Souls cousin. I mean, they take so much from it. You have that tower, you go back and upgrade it. They have no difficulty settings, which I always love. They have the summons, they have these big bosses. They've got this puppet motif, which they've really hooked onto, and I think they've got a good sort of series trending with Dorothy being the next in the series. I expect great things from this DLC. Obviously, they've taken their time with it. It was announced to come last year. But I think they took a bit more time to polish it up, maybe even make it bigger, maybe even increase the scope. That shark looks amazing. Definitely one to keep my eyes on. I'm a huge fan of the Liza P. When I played it, didn't put it down until finished it. And big shout out to Wilson if he's still in the chat. He beat the last boss in like 2 attempts, which I was absolutely blown away by, because I swear I sat in front of that thing for like 2 hours before I got off a good run. Liza P, don't miss out on that one. Pixel Junkie. So this one got into my head. This is where developers, break the ground on what is a game. They break barriers, they try new things, they break the borders. And so I think it is very important to have these games. I think it's definitely one I would look into. I don't know if it's a purchase day one for me, but I'd like it if it was on my subscription, if this is something I got through a subscription. But I hate that's the place I am in gaming now. But there's so much in this gaming marketplace that you kind of need that subscription access to get through all the noise and play, some things that are available from you here or there. But hey, this is interesting in terms of, hey, what's going on? In terms of, no creation without destruction, because destruction by its means, they have an ethos behind the game where they're destroying everything, and it all seems and feels like a dream. So I don't know where it'll go or what the story will be about, but it's an ambitious project, and it's something different.
Yeah, I think different is the big take there, isn't it? I like the whole reversal of things where you're normally shooting to destroy in a game, but in this one you're shooting to build or remake things. I like that reversal of it. It gives me vibes of many other indie artsy games, and we need these sort of things. We need somebody pushing the boat, doing something different, and if it catches on, maybe we'll see it in some bigger titles, bigger ideas. I don't know how well it's going to play. I don't know whether it's one of those one-hit wonder type things where for the first level it's going to be great, and beyond that it's just a little bit meh. But I like the concept, like you were saying, and I think it's one that should definitely have people keeping an eye on.
Days Gone remastered. So the rumors were true. They're remastering Days Gone. And if you claim the PS Plus version, it's not going to be a $10 upgrade. And by the way, if you own it, it is also not going to be a $10 upgrade. They are just going for a full remaster. They're releasing the game, so we'll see how well that works. They're adding accessibility, all new features, character models. It's going to look fantastic. It's whether or not people will be... Okay, so sorry. They are upgrading the PS4 version for $10. It's the PS Plus version. If you've claimed it, you cannot upgrade that version for $10. That was the article there. So be aware of that. And Days Gone. Did you play through Days Gone? I have not played through that game.
I've played bits of Days Gone. It came out in an era where zombie games were basically synonymous with video gaming. Everything was a zombie game, and we'd had The Last of Us. We had The Last of Us Part 2 on the horizon, and it came out in the same year as Spider-Man and God of War. It was up against very stiff competition for your money and your time, and for me, it just did not hit any of the notes that I wanted a Sony first-party studio game to hit. I have subsequently played it when it was offered on PlayStation Plus, but it still didn't click then. It's not a game for me. I know there is a massive cult following for it. A lot of people absolutely adore that game, and it has sold over 10 million copies across just the PlayStation options, let alone PC. But it's not one I'll be picking up. I'm not hyped about this, but I know there's a lot of people who love Days Gone, and adding new content to it, making it look a bit better, run a bit better, all that sort of stuff. It's like the Uncharted remasters that we've had that I absolutely adore, that give me 4K 60 frames per second in those older games. I absolutely love having that available to me. For those who like Days Gone, this is great for them.
And we got Stellar Blade coming out with more costumes. So if you like dressing up Eve, we've got a Nikki crossover, and I can't for the life of me know where Nikki is from. But
I have no idea, but at least it gave us a PC release date for the game as well, for all of the PC PlayStation gamers, because there are folks whose entire wish list on PC is just PlayStation Studios.
And I'm just catching this for the first time, but it may be more than just cosmetics. This Nikki.
Oh yeah,
DLC.
there's new bosses and such, and a new area. Yes, and it's a free update in June, I believe.
What? Again, I should know these things. Crazy. Okay, well, I'm definitely getting on board for this. I love Stellar Blade. Got the platinum. What? Brag, brag. This game was my game of the year last year. Fantastic job from Shift Up. Absolutely adored it. Can't recommend it enough. Go Eve. Game catalog, definitely a huge grab. If you haven't played Jedi Survivor, to get that on a subscription is definitely huge. Plus, Lost Records is a day and date release from a Canadian studio, so shout out to those people. And yeah, some big gets this month for PlayStation, if I do say so myself.
It's been a very solid year for game catalog for PlayStation Plus Essential, just PlayStation Plus in general. I think 2025 thus far has been really, really strong. Jedi Survivor is, I want to say, just under 2 years old. It might even be just under 1 year old. I can't quite remember. That sort of period of time blends into one. But it's a very good game. It's very good to get as part of PlayStation Plus. You'll see more people streaming it, more people playing it, releasing videos about it. I think it's great to add on there. And Lost Records coming in like day and date releases as episodic takes is also quite cool. Again, one of these sort of choose your own type ideas like Life is Strange. Looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it.
We got the Blueprints also releasing. That's sort of a detective click and point game. Do you know about Blueprints? Because I'm not.
I don't know much. I know it's like a detective Cluedo type idea, but I like my point and click titles. I like my real-time strategies. I like my Broken Sword type ideas. I like Monkey Island and all those sort of games. So give me a detective type one. I'm quite sure it can work really well within the genre. So yeah, quite looking forward to that one.
See, I have this theory that people from the UK deep down secretly think they're Sherlock Holmes inside.
Nah, I'm not a druggie, mate, so no, I'm defo not Sherlock Holmes.
I just remember
he's
Robert
a heroin
Downey
addict.
Jr. Boom. Doing these punch
Sherlock
outs
Holmes
and
was
then
a heroin
solving
addict.
crimes. Well,
that is part of the character's development.
Minus the heroin addict, you know. You like to solve some crimes.
Nah, we all think we're Doctor Who, mate. That's the issue. We all think we're some immortal Time Lord with 13 or 14 faces.
Me. Please.
I think I do that on a regular basis on this show. I've done it twice today already.
Well, we have Tales of Annihilation, or Tides of Annihilation. So this one is absolutely top of my list. I believe Wibble had posted it in the Discord there, chatting about. By the way, shout out to the Discord link in the description, official PlayStation Pros Discord. And if you want to see more of our content, Rudig's and Dorgon's links are also in the Discord. This game has got me for sure. It's set in your home country, which is London or the UK. And it's, as soon as I see this, it's Forspoken, bro. It's like Forspoken.
I'm going to start calling your home country Toronto.
That's fine with me.
All right, Quebec then.
No, that's the no-go. What's cool about this game is I think the voice acting is really going to come through because the two people playing opposite characters in this story are Shadowheart and her real-life partner. So if you remember from BG3, Shadowheart, excellent voice actress, and as well as a real life partner. So I think there's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of real authenticity to the lines given there. And I think that's a cool thing. The immersion in the story really does count. So I think that's cool. And then obviously action, adventure, RPG with huge bosses, cool magic powers. I'm sold.
I really like the look of this. There's obviously huge influence from the Arthurian legend. There's Excalibur shown off at the end. You've got the Lady of the Lake as one of the characters who shows up from Avalon, and being based in like a post-apocalyptic London where I'm off to next week anyhow, so I'll get the lay of the land before the game comes out, sort of thing. I think this looks really, really good. My biggest drawback, my biggest issue with it is some god-awful British accents. They are shockingly bad. There are so many British voice actors, just hire British voice actors, not crappy ones who do a bad accent. That is the only negative thing I've got to say about it, and I'm hoping that it doesn't take me out of the immersion of the game, because otherwise, this looks incredible, and I am very much on board.
Oh, as you see, for most of the audience, we hear any type of British accent, we're like, oh, yeah.
You hear that shite one that you guys put on and think it's great.
I've got a great
It's British not a real accent.
I've got a
it
great
does not
British
exist.
accent.
That's not an accent. That's an American made-up accent. It's like the transatlantic crap. It's not a real accent.
Well, it's from post-apocalyptic London. Maybe the accent evolved. You know, this is a
maybe the accent goes American crap. Yeah, maybe.
Exactly. See, you got to think of the timepieces. Metal Eden is coming out May 6th. You can wishlist it now. Robots, flying suits, and guns. Also, we have. Okay, we got to get. They hit hard at the end, and I want to make sure I get to the good stuff. This is the Mind's Eye, one of my big ones take away from this state of play. The guy created or was a part of the earlier Grand Theft Autos, I believe 4 and 5 he worked on, maybe even 3. And so this game has got a lot going for it. I really think that they know how to make engaging games. And hey, I'm all for it. It looks crazy good. Action adventure. Plus the driving around in the cool cars. It kind of gives me Cyberpunk vibes in third person when I saw this.
I was very disappointed with this game, actually. The concept is a wonderful one. It gives me that narrative edge of, say, Detroit Become Human or I, Robot from Isaac Asimov, and it then wraps it in what looks like very, very basic gameplay. There's some beautiful particle effects going on, some beautiful environments and such, but the gameplay, that the driving looks incredibly sterile. The shooting looks incredibly sterile. It looks like they're just sort of going through the motions. I'm hoping it's because it's an early show-off of the gameplay, but it does not feel like a cohesive and complete experience for me right now. I think a lot more work needs to go into this game before it's something that I can get excited about, because it just looks so bland. And bland is not a word you want to throw around about a piece of art.
Well, this is just the early trailers, so I wouldn't count them down and out. They come from a lot of experience in making engaging, successful games. So I think there's some things, obviously, they may not have been showing off, but I could see a lot of cool mechanics being played out, different things that they're not just quite showing us as of yet.
Fingers crossed,
but,
yeah. Because otherwise it was a disappointment for me.
Give me action, adventure, driving, and shooting. Hey, I love it. I love it.
You're a simple man. We've known that for a while now, but we love you all the same.
Hey, simple equals happy. You get
exactly.
Too complicated, you get... Now, they're going to end off the show with absolute brilliance. House Marquee delivering on what we've been wanting to see, a continuation from Returnal. And we have that now to look forward to in 2026 with Saros, I believe it's called, Saros. And it looks to be absolutely jaw-droppingly amazing. These bosses look super cool. Just the one that they show with all of the arms and stuff. Listen, coming from Returnal and beating it, it's so cool, so amazing. They took a concept and they brought it to AAA and they gave it a story that makes you ask how and why. And I think that it's just one of the pinnacles of rogue games for me. So I look forward to it.
I've liked Housemarque for a long time. They've been an incredible studio. One of the first games I played on my PlayStation 4 when I got that was from Housemarque. It was Resogun, an incredible side-scrolling bullet hell. They then took that into the 3D world and gave it a roguelike twist with Returnal for the PlayStation 5 launch, and now we're getting Soros by 2026. This sold me on this state of play, this game did. And the reason it sold me is because there's an obvious cadence now that we're starting to see from PlayStation Studios in what they're doing with state of plays. They are telling you what's coming up really soon for PlayStation, and then they're giving you that one tease at the end of, we've got another PlayStation Studios game coming for you soon enough. So we know we've got Ghost of Yotei coming this year. We know we've got Death Stranding 2 coming this year. We know we've got Soros coming next year, and we know we've got a few others in the line from people like Insomniac from Bungie and so on and so forth. So this sort of sold me. One, it's Housemarque, and I knew whatever came next from Housemarque after Returnal was going to be riffing on that same sort of style. I love what they're doing with this, how it looks. I think it's going to be an incredible experience. But it also means that we're starting to see that level of release cadence that we want to see from PlayStation Studios. The exclusive games are coming to the platform that make having the platform really worthwhile, and I love seeing it. I hope this cadence continues. I hope at the next state of play that isn't a focused one, that isn't on like Borderlands 4 or Death Stranding 2, both of which are coming up soon enough. We've got full state of plays on those, but the ones where we get releases of trailers and new games and what have you, I think we've got a good setup to see what's immediately around the corner and what PlayStation Studios are offering us and when. And I love that it ended in this way. And just like the last two, where we've seen Intergalactic, where we've seen Ghost of Yotei, where we've seen Death Stranding 2, we're starting to eat really good again from PlayStation Studios, and I love to see it.
Well, awesome. I think that that is a great place to end it for us as well. I think having this review of the PlayStation State of Play was good. We got to touch on all of the games that are coming out, and there's a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. I know at least. I just wish something was like even closer, because at this point last year I had Helldivers 2, Final Fantasy, and then Stellar Blade around the corner. And I feel like I gotta wait until the end of May to really, taste what this catalog has been giving or shown to us.
Well, welcome to mine last year. I didn't pick up Helldivers immediately. I picked it up because you asked me to. I didn't pick up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I didn't pick up Stellar Blade. Both are still on the list, but they're, for me, when they're quite a bit cheaper games. So I didn't get anything until like May, June last year. Whereas in a week's time, I've got Monster Hunter Wilds. A week after that, I've got Split Fiction. And then I think it's April or May, there's another one coming that I really want as well. It just seems to be you've got an ebb and flow of types of games, of styles of games, of tastes of games. Whereas last year suited your sensibilities a bit more. This year seems to be suiting my sensibilities a bit more. And personally, I'm here for the ebb and flow and the change of it. I had a much cheaper year last year in terms of video game purchases. So I am very much looking forward to the more expensive year of video game purchases in 2025.
Oh, well, there you have it. That was the State of Play. That was our review on it. If you want to hear more Super PlayStation Bros, be sure to like, subscribe, share it out, because we'll be back not next week, right, Dorgon, but the week after.
Indeed, week after next, because I am down in London next week, living it up in 5-star luxury. But whilst I'm gone, you can watch previous episodes. They're all available on this channel. Just hit the name down below and subscribe whilst you're there. Or, of course, you could go watch either of our content. The last video that I had out was going over some power banks that really help with gaming. Things like the PlayStation Portal have a massive boost from things like these. And, of course, Rudigs is live streaming on a regular basis. What have we got from you this week, my man?
I believe we got some Helldivers tonight. We're keeping up with our campaign for Super Earth. And then going into tomorrow, there's Among Us. Everyone is welcome to jump in 9 p.m. Eastern here on Cloud&Console. Then we got Family Game Night on Wednesday, where I'm playing Fortnite with my family. And lots more content to look out for, so make sure to tune into the socials.
Awesome sauce.
All right, we're getting out of here. Have a good day, everybody, and be kind out there and play PlayStation.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Try to believe in me. Why try, do I even need to? I die with the season leaves. I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the me. Oh, finds hype super decently smooth. Nice tide, but as sick as beats.